Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Glad you're here. Today we're talking about the Grizzly Youth Academy. What did I just say? What's that again? Tune in and find out. Connect with me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Glad you're back on the program here. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. You may want to call in today. A very lively show. Got several guests coming in to talk about this Grizzly Youth program over in San Luis Obispo and the connection it has right here to Fresno and the Central Valley. For now, you're watching us live on Comcast, channel 375 as usual. It's Xfinity Comcast cable. If you don't have Comcast cable and you're cutting the cord, not to worry, my friends. We still love Comcast, but if you have an over-the-air broadcast television antenna, it's 13.1, 43.6 over-the-air broadcast. And then later in the day, the replay of this program comes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 13.6 YouTube, that's over-the-air broadcast. 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. That, too, is over-the-air broadcast in primetime TV. And then on YouTube, after that, forever and ever and ever. Well, do you have an out-of-control teenager at home? You know, one that may be doing drugs, maybe they're doing alcohol, maybe they're skipping school, they're truant, or maybe they want to drop out of school. They just seem to be going through a tough time as a teenager. In other words, they're not towing the line. Roll the videotape, show you what I'm talking about, get right into the program. You may want to consider sending your kids to the Grizzly Youth Academy in San Luis Obispo, all part of the National Guard Youth Challenge Program, a military-style boot camp that provides teenage kids with a positive and safe learning environment. What do they learn? Well, they learn responsibility, structure, organization, respect, not only for themselves, but for others. And it teaches them how to succeed in life, and they gain the self-confidence to be able to accomplish that. But there's a big but. Students must be willing on their own to make those sacrifices. It's mentally, physically tough. Don't forget the social aspects of this whole thing. Cadets are chosen after a 2-week trial period where they focus on academics, physical fitness, community service, leadership, followership, life coping skills, responsibility and citizenship, job skills, health and hygiene. No easy task. How does this relate to Fresno and the Central Valley? We'll ask our guests. You and me together. You can call in at 436-MeTV option 11. Roll the videotape.
When my son started, this was his idea. He said, I'm at the end, I don't have any more choices. I'm running out of opportunities, I don't know what to do anymore.
I was mostly in the streets, doing drugs and drinking.
I was pretty much a drug addict. I was running away, and at the end, my parents didn't want nothing to do with me. None of my family wanted to talk to me, so that's when I kind of realized I had to do something.
I was in the streets, I was gangbanging, doing drugs.
We're here to help them transform themselves. We're here to help them have a new outlook in life and a new future for themselves.
Don't ever give up, because anything is possible.
The more I wanted to leave, the more the program made me stay.
I've been sober for like the first time in 2 years, and it's like the best thing I've ever gone through in my life. I have a relationship with my parents. My mom talks to me, you know. For the first time, I feel happiness.
Really have to like just follow through with what they tell you here at Grizzly because it really changes you.
Live in our studio right now, the guest shot, please. Thank you very much. Sergeant Daniel Castillo on screen left and Sergeant Daniel Williams, both from the Grizzly Academy in San Luis Obispo. They are here to take your phone calls, 436-ME-TV, option 11. If you want to call in and weigh in, we'll tell you what the Grizzly Academy, the Youth Academy, is all about. You can call in and ask the questions of our two guests today. We have several people in the studio today lining up to be on the show. Back with your phone calls in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place. When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the program live, connect with me on MeTV Fresno. So Sergeant Daniel Castillo is here and Sergeant Daniel Williams. The two Daniels are here. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Good
Thank
morning,
you for having
John.
us, John.
Hey, who wants to pick it up first? So how does this relate to Fresno and the Central Valley? Because I know you guys are on the coast, San Luis Obispo. And so are you trying to recruit in this area, or are you already recruiting in this area?
Yeah, so currently we are recruiting in this area. We have been since we started Grizzly Academy in 1998. We currently serve 14 counties within California, and Fresno does reside in our recruiting area. So we definitely want to establish a better rapport with Fresno, and being on your show, it definitely helps with that.
You said you're already here. How long have you been in the Central Valley, and where have you focused your recruiting on? What areas?
Well, our academy, John, is the first academy here in California. Since we opened our doors, we have 2 other academies. So in 1998, we started recruiting throughout the state of California. So now we're centrally located, and we're recruiting in, is it 17 counties?
14 counties.
14 counties, and Fresno happens to be our priority county.
Right. Where in the Central Valley are you focused on? Primarily, high schools,
Right.
any particular school districts. How do you target these kids, and how do you attract? How do you make yourselves known in the Central Valley?
Currently, we're trying to get more involved into Fresno Unified.
Okay.
That's one area that we're specifically trying to get the word out.
Okay.
That we're trying to intervene with these students early and appropriately, so we can get them back to school, so they're going to school and doing what they need to. Yeah, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, just a couple things that we do target. The alternative educations, the community day schools, Clovis, Fresno, in this area. So there's different events that we attend, college career days, high school career days, different family faith-based organizations that have different events that invite us out. So wherever there's an open door, we're there. We're trying to get those students that are between 16 and 18 and get them interested in reviewing what we have to offer. Services that we have to offer are so unheard of in one location. And so you saw the video. There's so many different services that we provide. So the school, there's 60 to 65 high school credits that a student can earn in 5 months, and that's equivalent to 1 high school year. The other thing is that the acre component that the video showed is something that they work in as becoming a better productive citizen. So I know there's a lot of parents out there in Fresno or throughout the state of California, but need a program like ours. And the doors are open. These services are for California residents.
How bad is it out there with some of these young teenagers? We hear some of the horror stories. We read the newspapers. We watch the news. There's drugs. There's alcohol. There's truancy. There's gangs, obviously. How do you get the children, not children, but teenagers? They're almost grown. They're almost adults at that point once they reach the teenage years. So how do you get them out of that environment? And like I said in the monologue, they have to be willing to make the sacrifices on their own. How do you encourage them to join?
It's not easy, John. And being an at-risk youth teen myself back in the 90s, I remember how hard it was coming from a broken home, struggling with drugs and alcohol.
Is that what you had?
I did.
You had drug and
I struggled with that as well.
Okay.
And much the same with a lot of the staff members that work at Grizzly. So when we go out and recruit for these students in these areas, we can tie in with them and build that rapport, saying, we understand what you're going through. It's not easy. It's a struggle. These are the programs within Grizzly Youth Academy that will help support you in your means to find a new path to get back on track. And to get them to buy into that is not easy. It's sometimes going to the same school multiple times. Then it might even take a graduate that came through the program to come back and say, wow, I knew that person. I was on the streets with them. I was in that gang with them. And they went to Grizzly and graduated. If they could do it, I could do it. So all of a sudden, word of mouth from the best recruiter that we have are the graduates of Grizzly Youth Academy. Right. So that is our huge point, to show we have the proof. So that is what we bring to the table.
How bad is it out there, in your opinion?
It's pretty bad. We get to visit the different alternatives, high schools and continuations, all the different areas, and we go into. Teachers and the education staff definitely have their work cut out for them. We are a huge resource to many of the schools out there, and when they look at us, there are so many different counselors, teachers, vice principals that are saying, give me your information so that we can target these students that are we can't reach. And so once they make contact with us, there is a process to our criteria, because it is a volunteer program. So we try our best to make the partnership, get the student and parent interested over to our program, which is in San Luis Obispo. And once we start the process, but it is tough. And there are, things that we try everything, whether it be the graduate. We have parents and boosters that we do have here in the studio. Anybody that has experience with our program, to talk to the family, talk to the student, talk to the school, whoever it is. So we try our best.
I do want to get into the gritty details about exactly what you guys do. We saw the video clips, obviously, in the monologue, but it doesn't give us a great sense about what you guys do. But first, what's the biggest concern for some parents out there with their children? Is it the lack of, they're not able to control them? They're involved with the wrong crowd? What's the biggest concern? Maybe Daniel, you can pick that up.
I think the biggest concern is safety. When some of these students are out there, which I would say a good 90% of the students that come through Grizzly have been involved with drugs or alcohol at some point.
What's the percentage of teenagers that join have been involved in that crowd?
I honestly, gangs, it's not as much. I can't give a definitive percentage.
It's mostly drugs and alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol. They've at least tried it or are currently on drugs or alcohol.
Well, once they get in your program,
they're drug free. They're drug free.
And alcohol free.
And alcohol free. They're on a California National Guard base, and it's 10 miles from Morro Bay and 10 miles from San Luis Obispo. So they don't have access to the outside community when it comes to drugs and alcohol.
Cold turkey, huh?
So we tell them before coming into Grizzly, we tell them months and months out when we go and recruit to look, at this point, you need to start to get yourself off of the drugs and alcohol, do the best you can. We know it's hard, but you do need to come in, sober. And unfortunately, we do get students that come in last minute that are still, doing that, but we work with them and they're clean when they, a few weeks after they're into the program, it's going through their system, it's out, and then they can have a whole different focus on life.
Daniel, is there like a 2-week trial period for these teenagers to see if they can actually handle what goes on at Grizzly Youth Academy?
That's a very good question. We do make it mandatory after we do the recruiting, just to kind of plant the seed. We invite them over to do a tour and orientation. In that tour and orientation, we also do a face-to-face interview with the student, because we're so remotely located over there in San Luis Obispo. We're trying to cover down as much as we can to get the information to the student and to the parents. So once we do that, the application comes in. We go in and review the application, make sure that they meet the criteria.
What's the criteria?
Well, the criteria is California resident, 16 to 18 years old, student. 50% of the decision that we make, student has to be willing to attend a program, which is the volunteer program. That's the big part of our criteria. The other is just...
so it's, in other words, it's not forcing the teenager to join.
Correct.
It has to be voluntary.
It has to be voluntary.
Every teenager that's a part of your organization, it's voluntary?
Yes, it is.
So the parents can't force them in.
Parents cannot force them in.
No.
They have to want to go in.
Yes.
They have to want to seek the help.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how many, I didn't mean to cut you off here, Daniel, but how many in the program right now as we speak?
We have currently, I believe it's 209 students on grounds for this class that we have.
209. And how many instructors?
Well, we're broken up in two different departments, our education staff and our National Guard staff. So supervision, I'm not sure, roughly about 50 or 60.
That's on the military side. The military side, on that department side, we have over 50. And the educational side, I think it would be roughly 40 or 50. So you're looking at close to 100 personnel just dedicated to these 200 plus young men and women.
So it's broken up to 50 and 50. So 50 from the military side, meaning the National Guard?
So they're comprised of many components. National Guard, it could be Air Guard, State Military Reserve. So those are the main components that build up
And the
military
educators are
side.
certified teachers?
They are.
Really? And they're part of the San Luis Obispo educational system?
County Office of Education, yes.
You guys are sponsored under that umbrella,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
We partnership together to create Grizzly Youth Academy itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to continue with this conversation in just a moment. We've got two people in from the Grizzly Youth Academy, Sergeant Daniel Williams, Sergeant Daniel Castillo. They both drove in from San Luis Obispo. We'll talk more about the program and also what they're doing to try to attract kids right here in the city of Fresno in the Central Valley. Back in just a moment. By the way, we have an open phone line if you want to call in. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in a moment.
And away we go.
Here's a place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me?
Follow me.
That's memorable. That's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
This 4 a.m. wake-up call is like none these teenagers have ever heard.
Why are you just standing around?
It's called Shark Attack.
You better hurry up. Let's go.
Stop moving around.
Toe the line. Toe the line.
Day one for these 16 to 18-year-old high school dropouts.
Today is going to be a long day.
It's designed to set the tone, establish structure,
Keep pushing. Explode all that anger out of you right now, cadets.
and let these rebellious teens know who's in charge.
You don't listen to authority. That's why you're here.
Jumping jacks, go.
Angel Kayla Master, Jeremy Caesar, Krista Hopkins, Adjike Stewart, and 212 other students in this class have abused drugs, joined gangs, and are desperate for help. If you listen to their stories, you may understand why.
Make it happen!
Me and my mom were homeless pretty much, sleeping in cars, underneath freeways, in hotels. I was always on my own, couch hopping my entire teenage life. It caused me to drop out.
I feel like the day I turned 13, I decided to become a careless teenager, and the day I turned 14, I became a delinquent. I got into 7 fights my freshman year and then 3 fights my sophomore year, and I was like on the thin line of being arrested and expelled at the same time.
When someone tells you something so many times, you start to believe it. They always say that, like, sticks and stones don't break your bones, but words will never hurt you. It's so not true. Words hurt more than anything, especially as by someone you love.
I want to make my dad proud. He hasn't been in my life. It sounds backwards, but I want to make him proud of the young lady he never took the time to learn.
All right, the video that you just saw there was the Sunburst Youth Academy, and that's located in Los Alamitos. That's down in Orange County. Am I right, guys? And so that is all part of the National Guard Youth Challenge program. There are 3 of these programs in California. You are one of them in San Luis Obispo. The Sunburst is down in Los Alamitos. The other is located where?
Up in Lathrop, off Roth Road, Discovery Challenge Academy. They just opened doors this January.
Okay, so you have 3 now, and this is all sponsored by the National Guard, am I right? You get federal and state funds for this?
Correct.
Yes.
Talk about that just briefly. We'll get to the call in just a moment.
So we're currently funded federally and state, about 75 roughly from the federal government, and then
75 million?
No, 75%.
Oh, 75%
from the federal government, and the rest is state matched. Okay. So what that does for the community that we serve, it's free. It's free to the community. The only thing they have to provide are the basic necessities, a couple of school materials, maybe some basic clothing, but that's...
So if I want to send my teenage son, let's say, or daughter to the National Guard Youth Challenge Program, one of these 3 sites, it's free of charge to the families.
It's free.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air with our 2 guests.
I'd like to say I think this is a perfect alternative toward maybe going to college or just trying to find a job around the area, because I think there's so many people that need a really good opportunity in life, and I can't help but maybe think that might deter in some problems that children have, and they give them hope in life and some structure, and I really think it's an excellent thought. I would like, however, to understand what age they come into the academy and what age they graduate from, and where do they go from there.
Yeah, hang on, caller. Don't hang up. Hang on. It's 16 to what?
So the age range is 16 to 18 years of age. So if they are 18 when they show up to Grizzly, they can turn 19 while they're in the program. That would be okay.
Okay. But once they hit 18, it's over, right?
Yeah, they can apply to Grizzly and be enrolled into Grizzly at 18 years of age. That's fine.
Oh, they can?
Yes.
Up until what age?
So they cannot apply if they turn 19 or if they're 15.
Gotcha. But they can apply up until the age of 18 if they so choose, and they can stay a couple of years, right? It's like 17 months, you said, Daniel?
Yes, 17.5-month program. We have 2 phases. The first phase is a residential phase, 5.5 months, where the students come live with us. Now, this program is very challenging. It's a quasi-military academy that focuses on academics and the ACAR components. The ACAR components is what help the students become a better productive citizen there and when they get ready to graduate and come back home. And then when they go into the post-residential phase, we will track them for 1 year through a mentor. And
after it's over, you mean?
After the residential phases.
And they have to check in with
they'll have to check
the
in
Grizzly
with
Youth
us.
Academy
Yes.
once a month and with their mentor.
Correct.
Okay, and that's a requirement.
It is a requirement.
Okay, and so the focus is on academics, but it's physically, mentally, and emotionally challenging for these teenagers. Are there some that just can't cut it?
Yes, of course there is.
What's the success rate in terms of percentage? Give me a percentage.
I'm glad you asked.
Guys.
So just say if we start with 210 students in one class, we have 2 classes a year, 90 to 92% of those students will graduate.
So you have a 92% success rate.
Yes, and that's even in the post-residential. Once they graduate from Grizzly, 88 to 91% of our students are placed. Now, what we consider placed is they're in education, meaning they're going back to school. That could be high school or college. They're going into the workforce. They're going into the military, which is a smaller percentage.
Right.
But placement is they're doing something that is correlating to what they agreed to with the counselors, the case managers before they left Grizzly.
How old is this program? How long have you been around?
1998.
1998. Let me ask you about your infiltration. I don't know if that's the right word. Here in the Central Valley, what school districts are you working with currently right now?
Right now we're working with the Fresno Unified and specifically Edison High School, Roosevelt. We're also working with different high schools there in Clovis, and that's a community day school, Gateway, and there's a couple of other
Pershing's another one.
Pershing. There's a couple
These
other
are all high schools, right?
Yes.
Alternative.
Okay.
Alternative and high schools, traditional.
So you're talking about Edison and McLean as far as Fresno Unified is concerned, and you have some schools in Clovis Unified as well?
Yes. Community Day, Sunnyside, and there's
you're at Sunnyside.
Gateway. Yes.
Okay. So do you sign a contract with these schools or districts?
No
You
contract.
don't? No. So how do you get the word out? Do you just show up on campus, or how does that work?
It's a pretty extensive process. We call and build a rapport with the counselors on site, the staff there,
The principal?
Principals, assistant principals. We do whatever we can to build that rapport.
So do they allow you to come on campus and set up a booth, or what?
They'll allow us to come into a particular classroom or the auditorium and do a presentation for all the students that are they're falling behind, they're not going on the right track. So we get those names from the counselors that work at the school.
Right, and so you've done that.
Yes, we have.
You've done that. You've
Several
actually
times.
done that.
Yes.
Okay, let's take this call here. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Connect with me. Glad you're here. What's your question for the two guests?
Well, okay, several questions, John. Is this kind of like Marine training? And this is a loaded question. I'm sure you've had. You do not hit the young people in case they get out of line. What is your discipline when they do get out of line? And hopefully that you can mention if you do hit them, how do you train them by hitting them or scolding them? And then second question, do you have any religious training? Like when I say that, can they go to worship service on a Saturday or a Sunday? Do you provide that opportunity for them to do that?
Okay.
And how long? And I'm running. I came in a little late. How long is the training if they should go all the way? And those are my three questions, John. If you can keep them, write them down, or if you have a good memory. Okay, and that's it.
No
Thank
problem.
you guys for showing up.
Thank you very much for the call. Okay, let's tackle question number one. Is this Marine type training?
Not Marine type training at all. Remember, this is a quasi-military environment for high school students. This is not a boot camp in any way. It's not a Marine boot camp. This is a high school.
It simulates a boot camp style.
So where the difference comes into play, we don't put our hands on these students at all for no reason.
Right.
The only time we would ever do that if there was a medical emergency, but we don't hit the students at all. There's a hands-off policy we strictly adhere to. Right. All of our programs within the state adhere to that. Our corrections that we do if there's any disciplinary actions would include what we call physical corrective action. Okay, basically.
What does that mean in layman's terms?
Right, they would have to do push-ups, sit-ups, something simple like that, or run. But
if let's say a fight breaks out, somebody gets into an argument. All right, two guys, they get into an argument about something. Who cares what?
Correct.
How do you deal with that situation? You break it up, or what do you do?
There's a few ways. So one way would be to intervene by first verbally telling them to break it up. And I will be honest that 99% of the times it breaks up because these kids want to be there. They don't want to leave. Yeah. And they know the consequences could be dismissal.
So what do you tell them? Go take 20 laps or 100 laps around the track, or what? What's the deal?
It could be that.
Push-ups, huh?
No, we keep it reasonable. We keep it reasonable. So So if a fight, we'll stick with the fight. Okay. That would be egregious. We would break it up. If we had to physically break it up, just like any other high school, We do use non-harmful ways to intervene, maybe placing our hands in between them, separating them. But once it comes down and this individuals are de-escalated, then at that point, something like that, we would actually send them to a board process to where they would have to physically stand in front of the commandant, myself, and the director, and have to deal with repercussions from paperwork and talk about their consequences.
Wow. And John, just wanted to add to that, Mr. Williams, before we start every class, we do a CPI class and a hands-off. So I think you might want to talk a little bit about that, because I think that
so I can talk. We're every single 6 months, which is more than we're actually required to. I lead a CPI course, which is Crisis Prevention Intervention. It's non-harmful de-escalation measures.
Okay, say that again.
Crisis Prevention Intervention.
Okay, and what does that entail?
It's to teach the staff how to verbally intervene and de-escalate the students, to calm them down before it even escalates into a problem.
All right,
all of our staff are trained on that.
So that way, there's no requirement to put your hands on anyone.
Yeah, there's the only time that we would ever have to do that, John, is last case scenario, okay, is if someone is continuously trying to harm themselves or others without stopping. Then we would intervene with non-harmful, measures. Yeah.
So go ahead.
The last part of that question in regards to church services or worship services, everything that we have in our academy, to include, there are so many 13 to 17 different agencies, programs, and organizations that come out and help with us, like a wraparound with different programs. Worship is one of them. And it's a volunteer. Everything we do is volunteer.
Right. So if these students happen to be whatever faith, whatever religion, whether they're Jewish, whether they're Muslim, whether they're maybe Hindu, Christian, whatever the case may be, they are entitled to and are allowed to worship.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
We've had all of those, by the way.
Okay, you have everybody under the sun.
We have.
I would imagine every culture.
And those usually take place after once we start the residential portion. So it's about 3 or 4 weeks into it. We start the religious services, and it's in the Sunday evenings.
Okay, we're going to do one more segment with our two gentlemen right here, and they are Sergeant Dan Castillo and Dan Williams. They are both from the Grizzly Youth Academy in San Luis Obispo. They drove up early this morning. We appreciate their time in driving up with all that traffic early Friday morning. 436-ME-TV, option 11. You don't have to hop in your car and come down to Ventura TV. All you got to do is pick up the phone, call in, and ask your question. We're here. We have an open phone line. We're back in just a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenneth, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
This is your paper, so you need to be responsible for it. Mom doesn't hold it anymore, okay?
Their last chance at a second chance began in July, dropped off by parents or guardians, sometimes a friend or neighbor. Each of them has volunteered to be here. Saying goodbye wasn't easy for 16-year-old Francisco Lazo's mother, Cynthia.
Oh, it breaks my heart, but it's for the best. I'm sure he'll come out a different person. I mean, he's a great kid. He just needs help.
It was really tough. It's hard to say goodbye. I didn't really see it as a sad goodbye. I saw it more as a good goodbye. Like, there were tears of joy.
Next candidate, what's your last name?
They are split up into platoons, 2 male, 2 female.
All you got to do is what?
Breathe, Sergeant, breathe!
That's it. All you got to do is breathe. We are going to think for you.
For the next 5.5 months, they will be told when to eat, sleep, and go to school. No access to social media, television, or contact with the outside world.
We will make you faster. Let's go. Pick those knees up. We will make you stronger.
You have not reached your limit yet. Keep on pushing. Keep on pushing, cadet. Get up. Get up.
We will make you healthier and wiser than you have ever been in your lives.
If you're going to do something, Johnny, you're going to do it. The right way or the wrong way?
The right way, Sergeant.
There you go.
We will help you earn the credits you need to succeed and graduate from high school. Most importantly, we will give you the skills necessary to go out there and get a job so that you can take care of yourselves.
This is hardcore. If I could do this, then I can leave here and I can get what I need to get done. That's going to be the most amazing feeling, knowing that I can actually do this.
All right, don't wait to call in. We got an open phone line, 436 MeTV option 11. Sergeant Daniel Williams, Sergeant Daniel Castillo, both from the Grizzly Youth Academy. The video that you just saw was from the Sunburst Youth Academy. They're all interconnected, all related under one umbrella called the National Guard Youth Challenge Program. They have 3 sites on campuses here in the state of California, down in Orange County, San Luis Obispo, and the other one I forgot
is up in Lathrop.
Okay,
correct.
And so they're all here in the Central Valley. Whether you recognize it or not, or whether you know it or not, you guys have recruits here, right?
Correct.
How many recruits do you have that go around to these various high schools during the day and try to entice some of these kids to get involved?
Well, besides
how many
our
recruits do you have in the Central Valley?
Right. So besides ourself as staff, all of the students that have graduated or have attended Grizzly Youth Academy, which we've graduated over 5,500 students since we started just at Grizzly. So the recruits that we have is over 5,500 in the whole state, just from Grizzly
so
alone.
You're talking about the cadets that graduate,
Yes.
they become recruits?
They do. They're our biggest recruiting.
In what way? How?
They go home. Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
Because they experience one of the best experiences in their life, they get the opportunity to get out and talk to their friends. They talk to their teachers, counselors, and say, hey, is there a chance that we can get the GYA staff, or can we do a career day? Can we get them over here to do that?
Hang
so they
on,
volunteer.
caller. Hang on, get to you in a moment.
You'll see some of the graduates that will put on a uniform, because that's a uniform that they earn. It's not given to them. And that's just another side note. But they're so very proud of wearing that uniform. So when they get a chance to wear that here at home with their friends, their experience, they talk about the experience and what it takes for somebody to enroll and attend our program. So yes, we have so many students that are willing and ready to go. We have one here in the studio too.
Okay, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you could further.
Okay, can you? We didn't get to you quickly enough. Hang on a second. Go ahead and repeat that right at the top. We didn't catch the first part of that. Caller, you there?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes. I was wondering if your guest could further elaborate on the religious aspect of their program. They said that they had a worship service on Saturday and Sunday, but they said they also adhered to Jewish and Hinduism.
Every faith, I'm sure.
They have religious services for them as well.
So what we offer is a non-denominational type service on Sunday. If there's specific things that they need to do, we do accommodate to the best of our ability.
Very similar to the military church services, a non-denominational.
Okay, does that answer your question, caller?
Yes, I was just wondering because I don't know how many Hindu or Muslim students they may have in that program, because I don't see, I honestly don't see a lot of East Indian committing crimes or getting out of. They're usually disciplined and have like a family unit. So I don't know. It would just seem weird to see them in that kind of a program, but I guess it does happen. But they've had them before.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. I appreciate that. Thank you for the insight. And so I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, and I got to let you go here because I got the other group coming on, but you don't necessarily have to commit a crime to join the Grizzly Youth Academy. That's totally false. Is that right? Clear that up, guys.
Yes.
It is false. And what we're focusing and geared toward is the student that's off track, 16 to 18 years of age.
Right.
That is a high school dropout, possible dropout, behind in credits, on the path of getting in trouble. Yes, some of the students that we have are on probation. They can't have a felony, but
not
we
every student.
No.
Right.
It's the students that we have. All of them are behind in credits or on the wrong path, but it's very small that the ones that are actually serious charges with the law. It's
a small
not that case.
percentage.
It is.
Right, but you cater to all religious groups and faiths.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
John, just real quick, I just wanted to touch bases on the last, what Mr. Williams said. This is not a detention center. It's not a juvenile facility. These students here come on a volunteer basis. The thing that these students are coming for to get back on track with their academics. That's education. And it's just a great place. In some cases, the students are just sitting in the back of the room, texting, listening to music on the iPod, not paying attention to what the teachers are assigning their homework assignments or anything like that. So those are the students that are just going home, playing Xbox all weekend long, or they're just doing things that keep them away, not in tune.
Yeah.
And so majority of the students are like that we get.
All
into
right,
our
before
program.
you guys take stage left here and exit out of the building, let me ask you a question here. Website and phone number in case some grandparents, maybe they have nephews, nieces that want to get involved. This is for both young men and young women as well.
Yes.
I want to stress that, both.
Correct. And the young women do great, by the way.
Okay, and we're going to have a young woman cadet coming up in just a few minutes here, a graduate. Okay, number and website, guys.
The phone number is 1-800-926-0643, and the website...
Slow down. One more time.
1-800-926-0643, and the website is grizzlyyouthacademy.org.
Okay, you want to add to that? No?
I don't. I think all the information. Well, yes, I do, John. Okay. The student can be on informal or formal probation to be eligible to attend our program.
Okay.
No felonies.
All right, no felonies.
Right.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it.
Sergeant Williams and Sergeant Castillo, thank you very much. They're both Daniels, by the way. The Grizzly Youth Academy, San Luis Obispo. They drove up. 436 MeTV option 11. Back with our second set of guests in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Giddy up with westerns, we've got the best ones. Superhero, sci-fi, spin, grab the popcorn and stay in. Dramas, mystery, and action, take a look and see what happens. Carol, Andy, Lucy, MASH, timeless comedies full of laughs. Hey, that's me!
That's me. That's me, Chief.
Yeah, me, you gotta see. That's memorable, that's me. Me TV.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV.
Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
All right, back here on the program, Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. And you know, we've got 2 new guests here. Sabrina Hansen, a cadet, a graduate, right here in the city of Fresno. Let's take the guest shot so we can see them both right here. There it is, right there. Sabrina Hansen and Keith Gledhill. He is an assistant principal at the Grizzly Youth Academy. And so, Sabrina, if you got through the Grizzly Youth Academy, you can easily get through this interview. No problem at all. And so let me ask you, let me start with you, Sabrina. Congratulations, by the way, for getting through the academy. What made you want to join? Why?
I felt and I noticed that I was slipping through school and I was doing drugs. I was getting involved with the wrong people. And
what school?
I go to Gateway
High
School.
Here in Fresno.
In Clovis. And I was just hanging around with the wrong group of people, and Sergeant Williams, he came to Gateway and he did a presentation, and I just knew instantly, I was like, okay, that's what I need to do to change my life around, and I'm glad I made that decision.
Well, okay, you don't hear many teenagers, and you're what, 16?
Yes.
You don't hear teenagers say to themselves and freely admit, okay, gee, I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd. Maybe I'm drinking a little too much alcohol. How did you reach that conclusion on your own? Did you have somebody whisper that in your ear, like maybe your parents, or what? How did that come about?
My father, yes, he's been through a lot, so I didn't want to fall through those footsteps.
Yeah.
And I was starting to catch myself slipping bad, and I just wanted to make that change. So
you felt that you needed a little bit of assistance, some help, some guidance, some organization.
Yes.
Which maybe you needed help in doing things that maybe you couldn't do on your own?
I needed that discipline and that backbone that I didn't have.
And how did the Grizzly Youth Academy help you? You went through the 2-week trial period. Obviously, you went through, 17 months of the Grizzly Youth Academy?
I've been in the Grizzly Youth Academy now for 6.5 months, 7 months.
Is it 6.5 months? Okay.
It's on post, it's 5.5, but it's 17
Hang on, caller.
months. It's 17 months for the whole program.
17 months, but you've been in it for 6.
Yes.
All right, chime in here, Keith.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. We had the two Daniels up here. We had Castillo and Williams, and they said the focus is education, education, education.
Correct.
You're one of the principals. You're like the assistant or the vice
assistant
principal.
Yeah.
All right. Is that true? And second part of that question is, what do you do to not enforce, but really focus on education and try to make these students understand that really their future lies with education? How do you make them understand that?
Thanks, John. Great question. One of the things I used to do when I would visit the schools to recruit and help out with that was I would do this exercise where I get a white marker and I would ask the students in various high schools in California, like, hey, what are some of the things that are the most important in your life right now? And they would say their iPhones, their friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, drugs, all these different things.
Do you have a boyfriend, by the way?
No, sir.
Okay.
So what I would remind them is, like, I would, after a few minutes of them just calling out things and me writing it on the board, I would go, okay, where's the math? Where's the English? Where are those in your priority? Mm-hmm. So what I would do is I would start erasing everything on the board that they were not going to be distracted by a grizzly. And by the end, we just had a few things, and those would be like family, friends, people in support of their decision if they decided to come to Grizzly. So education, 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 as you mentioned earlier. They get educated by the National Guard, of course. They're not just educating them on how to be...
It's a free education.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So are they learning the same thing as if they went to Sunnyside High School?
Well, not necessarily, because that's a different student.
What's the curriculum then? Tell me about the curriculum.
Well, it's we're...
What are they learning? Math, English, history?
Yeah, everything that you would learn in a high school, as
Okay.
far as to the standards and so forth.
All right.
But what else? We go beyond that too, and put a lot of focus on their career planning and creating goals for the future. All of our students are dually enrolled with our Cuesta College there, our community college, and through that dual enrollment, all of our students complete a college course on planning for their future, learning how to do personal finance, how to fill out FAFSA paperwork if they want to go on to college, career exploration. So they're getting all of that, as well as remediation, math, English if they need it, or the classroom with the correct amount of rigor that they need as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's all free of charge to the parents. You don't have to pay for this at all. And so it's like going to a public school in Clovis or
It is.
Fresno Unified.
Yeah.
All right, caller, you're on the air with our two guests. What's your question?
Yeah, I'd like you to ask your guest, what did the academy, I think they instilled education, but when you came into the academy, did you have an attitude problem? Because, it's not something that people can turn their lives around unless their mentors like, your principal and others, But when you came in, how, besides your father, how did that academy change the way your attitude towards life and your friends? So if your friends wanted to do something that was wrong, what would you tell them? Or get younger people to say, this helped me, want them to look into it, the academy be something that it may be helping you, because, parents are always willing to listen to other people that have been through it, But I'd like to know from you the experience and was it hard to change your life?
All right.
And just directly.
Thank you. We got it. Okay, thank you. So the gist of the call, I appreciate you calling in, caller. Kind of short on time here. So I guess the gist of the question is, did you have an attitude problem? And two, second part of that question is, how did the Grizzly Youth Academy change you as a person?
Well, going into the program, I didn't really have much of an attitude problem. It was more so, I was really, I just wouldn't listen. I didn't have an attitude problem. I just wouldn't listen, and I just.
What do you mean by that?
Like I wouldn't like.
You wouldn't listen to your mother and father?
Yes, I never really had an attitude problem.
In one ear and out the other?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the program changed me a lot. Going in there, I wasn't focused on, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to have an attitude problem. I wanted to be there. I wanted to change. So going in there, my mindset was, okay, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do what's best for me. I want to graduate high school on time. And now I'm ahead, and I'm going to graduate high school sooner than I thought. So, and the program, it's got me a lot of opportunities. It helped me make my resume and helped me apply for colleges and, how to pay bills and just stuff like that. So, yeah.
Where do you want to go to college?
Honestly, I haven't looked in right now, but on probably Fresno State or Fresno City, somewhere around there.
All right. So I think it kind of reinforces what I said earlier in the program, the fact that you wanted to change. And Keith, let me ask you, the students, and go ahead and lean up there against the mic. So they have to want to do it.
Yes.
No one forces these teenagers
Correct.
to do anything.
Correct.
It's them wanting to change on their own. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
100% across the board?
Yes. They have to want to be there for it to work. And so, for them to commit to that is just extraordinary, right? Them wanting to go through that quasi-military environment, commit to going to school every day when they're usually their school history up to that point is anything but going to school every day and following through with everything. So them committing to wanting to change is, they've done all the work for us initially to get that ball started.
So you cater to all students, whether or not they want to be an engineer, if they want to be a scientist, if they want to work at Google, if they want to be whatever their goal is in life, you help them achieve that?
So we expose them to a lot of different things while at Grizzly. Everything from career and technical education at Cuesta College, for instance, construction classes and actually broadcasting. They have a classroom just like this, and they learn about the ins and out of that. But then they also, through their career exploration, they sort of backwards map, right? So they, I really want to be an electrician. Okay, well, so how do we get there from here?
Okay.
And their knowledge of the world is somewhat narrow when they arrive, but we expose them to all these different ideas and things that they could do and how to get there.
Was your view of the world narrow when you arrived?
Yes.
And how is it now?
Now that I see that I have a lot of more opportunities out there for me, it's better.
And you've gained a lot of self-confidence, and you're aware of your capabilities and what your challenges are that lie ahead, and how you can overcome some of these challenges, right? Am I right about that?
Definitely, sir.
Yeah, and so Sabrina, what would you tell some of your friends at school who are going through the same struggles that you went through, and you know, you're eventually going to become maybe like a recruit or a mouthpiece for the Grizzly Youth Academy? What would
She
you
already
tell?
is.
What would you?
She already is.
She already is. What do you tell? What do you tell your friends, maybe your cohorts there over at school, and how they should and why they should join?
Well, when I talk about Grizzly Youth Academy all the time. Like, it's literally like I'm just always talking about it. So when they ask me and like I see them going through stuff, I'm like telling them, you know, like, hey, like it's a good environment. Like, you go there and you're stress free. It's just that one time in your life where you just kind of get to focus on yourself for 5.5 months and work on yourself, get fit, you know, eat healthy and stuff. So when I tell them stuff like that, it really gets them thinking like, oh, hey, like, where do I get the packets, or like, how do I sign up and stuff? So
what about sports programs? Do you have any basketball teams, football teams, baseball teams, hockey teams, soccer? Do they play sports?
Do you want to answer this?
Yeah. Well, we have what they call Grizzly Game Day. Is that what?
Yeah, Grizzly Games. Mm-hmm.
So Grizzly Games, you know, so it's like it's like a day where we just we play basketball, soccer, volleyball, softball, just kickball, just a bunch of stuff. But
they also do intramural sports on the weekends, and as well as like sports PT and so forth.
Competition is encouraged.
Well, it's friendly competition, right?
Right.
Between, you know, we'll even take students from different platoons and sort of mix them up with other platoons, and they play each other.
Are you a certified teacher?
Correct, yeah.
So
all of the teachers
credential.
Yeah.
You have your teaching credential.
Of course.
Just like any teacher at,
Absolutely.
say, Sunnyside or Edison. Or
all of our 11 classroom teachers there are, you know, credentialed, certified. You know, we're part of the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education in partnership with the Grizzly National Guard.
And so why did you want to teach there as opposed to the other parts of the educational system?
I've always been drawn to the at-risk population. I myself was at-risk youth. If it wasn't for my mother, I probably would have never got my diploma. So this was, you know, early on in college, I realized this was, you know, a real calling for me. And so I was always drawn to at-risk youth. I learned about Grizzly and its success, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Sabrina, toughest part for you, toughest part of the program. Was it the physical, the emotional part, the educational part, the discipline? What was it? Because we saw the videos. It's not a military boot camp, but it simulates a boot camp. Was that the toughest part?
The toughest part was working on myself. But going in there, I thought what was going to be hard for me was education and like being able to, you know, turn my homework in and understand what's going on. But that ended up just being the easiest part for me, you know. But it was working on myself and my emotions and how I was going to deal with it and finally be independent.
And believing in yourself?
Yes.
Which you do now. Okay. Good.
That's a real important part of what we do too, is not only setting them up for success while they're there, but setting them up so they know they have the skills to be successful after.
Don't want to run out of time.
Sure.
Sabrina, good luck to you.
Thank
you
you
for coming on the program,
nice
and
meeting you.
congratulations on your success. Keith,
Thank you, John.
good to see you.
Likewise.
Keep up the good work. The
All
Grizzly Youth Academy doing good work over there in San Luis Obispo and 2 other locations as part of the National Guard Youth Challenge Program here in the state of California. See you back here next time. Connect with me, TV Fresno. Have a good one.
Unscramble. Sing, honey, sing.
Call 'em classics, call 'em the best. Call 'em favorites, be a guest. Every day there's more to come. see there's only one. Me TV.
Try me. Me.